Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Mackay, founder and CEO of HM Pinnacle Consulting. And for more than 20 years, I've worked alongside organizations and leaders, from growing companies to large multinational operations, helping them strengthen their people operations, building stronger leaders, and creating workplaces where people and businesses can perform at their very best. And today I'm joined with John Menchesky. And John brings over 25 years of hands-on leadership and operational experience. He's led large teams and multi-site operations, developed managers and supervisors from within into leaders, and built a career around helping people grow into greater responsibility. So today we're going to talk exactly about that. Before I get into it, I have to say it's such a cool moment. So I'm going to give a total shout out to Alejandra right now. Nice job and congratulations. But one of the reasons we chose this topic was because recently one of the leaders that John has had an opportunity to really see potential in through the years and help grow just got 40 under 40 in her industry, which is super exciting and a real testament to your strength and expertise. And today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the power of seeing potential, and more specifically, how leaders decide who to invest in and what that investment should actually look like, right? So most leaders will tell you that they want to develop their teams. They want to develop people. But the harder questions are, how do you develop them? Who do you choose to develop, especially when time is really limited, right? So we have to really focus on what that looks like. And sometimes it takes a little bit of outside help to really help you get outside of that overwhelmed structure and into an area where you're not failing in developing your leaders. Because potential isn't always the loudest person in the room. I have to remind people of that regularly. It's not the individual who's asked for the promotion, the higher performer, or even the person who's been there the longest. Sometimes it's the quiet person that's quietly solving problems, helping others succeed, and learning from their feedback and taking responsibility even before it's given to them in a title. And so that's what we're going to really focus on right now. So before we get started, I'm going to ask all of our listeners out there. So I want you to take a second and just think about maybe one person on your team who may be capable of more than they're doing or showing you right now. Think about that one person that potentially you're going, they might be the next leader in my organization, even though that's not what they're doing at this moment. And if that's somebody you can think of, don't tell me who they are, but just put a got one inside of the comments. We want to know that you're engaged in that exact concept, right? Because that's what we're talking about is you know better than we do who those people are. But we also want to make sure that you're potentially through this conversation thinking about that person so that some of these tools you're going to learn from John will help you in that.
So what makes this conversation so important and exciting for me is it's just not about picking someone and saying, hey, you're going to be a leader now. Yeah. And okay, go do and believe in them and everything's going to work out, right? That's not how this works. It's getting someone to believe in themselves, holding them accountable, working through the ups and downs that are going to come, right? Have you ever seen the graph where how do you be successful? It's not a straight line up. Like it comes down, you go up, you come down, you go up. And that's how you build, right? And that's, as you're growing people, that's what you're doing. You're helping them over the obstacles to continue to grow.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate that we have you here today to talk to us about this, because I would say you're an expert in the field of promoting and finding potential in people before they get there. And I'm gonna actually put you on the spot, and I'm gonna say, tell me, how many people do you feel that you have homegrown into leaders in your organizations?
Well, I'll say I've been a part of in the last 5 years. I've been a part, because I think it's not just one person. It's always a group of people, but I've been a part of 8 leaders. And if you go in a 10-year period, that's probably 15. Wow. And
all from within your organization.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And I think here's the interesting part, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, is not all those people that now are in leadership positions ever believe they thought they could be in it. So there's a little bit of a secret we'll get to later.
I appreciate that. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say about that, because I think there's more often than not, you may see the potential in someone before they see the potential in themselves. So I can't wait to hear that. But let's get started on some of the questions that I have dying to ask. But they're questions that I have had as a CEO, but also that others have brought to me in all of the years that I've gotten a chance to really coach and work with leaders. And so really the first question I want to ask you is, when you look at a team, what tells you that someone has the potential, even before they're showing it?
Well, I think, so as a leader, I mean, what I'm doing on a consistent basis is I'm watching how people show up.
Okay.
Like, how are people showing up? How are people interacting with their team? How are they doing at their tasks? And just consistently seeing how they show up. Something that I'm really big on is attitude matters more than anything. Like, your attitude and willing to work as a team, we can teach skill all day long. I don't need you to know much, because we can teach that. We got SOPs, we got everything in place, but it's how you show up. It's how you want to learn. It's how you're willing to work with others. And it's all that concept. When you get someone that you see shows up every day and you're like, I don't talk to them much, but I see what they do quietly. I start to ask questions about, hey, so how's Heather doing? I see her every day. She's always doing something, right? So okay. I look for the little things even before I know who they are.
So if you were to put that into kind of a leader's takeaway, leaders, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're saying is leaders don't always look at the performance, but instead look at the attitude, their involvement, and their desire to show up into the role, not to show up attendance wise, although that's important too, but really showing up, their ability to work in a team and support. Is that what you'd say?
Yeah.
Good takeaways from that?
And the other thing I think I add to that is, as I'm doing that, right? So I'm evaluating who potentially can step into another role all the time. I think where some people fail to look at and see upcoming leaders.
I can't wait to hear the failure.
Because I think they wait until a position opens. They're like, oh, who's the next person up? 3 times a week, not exaggerating, 3 times a week, I'm walking around, self-included. If something happens, who's stepping in, right? So that gets you to go, so what happens if tomorrow, for some reason, someone's out, right? And there's so many reasons that could happen. What are you doing? So how is the next person stepping up? And that creates this looking at people and seeing who's really stepping up in the little ways that matter.
Okay, so first of all, as an HR person, I am thrilled with your answer, because leaders don't always think that way. And that strategic side of where am I going to need someone and planning that out in advance, I think is something all leaders probably need to consider just in general. Like, I like to tell people, because I hate you got hit by a bus sentence. I always like to say, you won the lotto and so-and-so moved to another island all on their own. Like, what are you going to do in that moment? And so I love that concept that you should, as a leader, be strategically thinking about replacing yourself too. I think that's really humble of you to say that's one of the things you look for too. So as leaders, make sure that you're not thinking that you're not irreplaceable, but realizing that if you're building it from within, you're going to keep your culture better if you have a chance to do that. That's a big one.
I know this isn't today, but Heather just said it, right? There's a reason why I'm also looking around. If people are really into the culture and they're helping build the culture, I always want that person. We want that person inside, because you now are building your culture within and it's not changing. It's just easier.
Yeah. And I agree. And that is a topic that we will be doing later is how to continue to evolve your culture, to grow your culture, and to build internally through it. But right now, I know that's a part of why we choose to build leaders from within, but I also think that there's more to it. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you're growing people in general in that process as well. So really quickly, I just want you to think really quickly about someone who's already positively influencing others on your team, right? So in this moment, is there someone, and maybe they're not the person you thought of before about highly potential, but is there someone in your team right now that is having a positive influence on others, and that influence is actually helping direct engagement, direct the projects, direct the work that's being done, even if that's not their formal authority? Because that right there is important to think about, because that's one of the things that you look for in your leaders or your potential new leaders, right?
100%.
Okay, so while you guys are thinking about that, let's go into confusing the difference between high performance and high potential, because this is one that I have found leaders struggle with a lot, right? So What is the difference between high potential and high performer? And are your high performers always going to be your high potentials?
High potential leaders? No, I think there's a big difference, right? And your high performers, they're great at doing. And I'm not saying some high performers, you do have high performers that move on to be great leaders, but you got to make sure that you're not taking someone that's a great doer, which we all need and want. And that's where they do their best work. This goes to your over promoting.
You need a SME, you need subject matter experts. They do not all need to be leaders, right? I 100% agree with you on that. Yeah.
So this goes back to Heather always says we got to be careful about over promoting. Yep. And that's why I think you got to really watch. Like when you're seeing and you look in someone, you're like, man, someone's got high rates when they work by themselves. Okay, that's good. But now come back and see, how do they work with everybody else?
That's what I was just going to say. Don't, that's what, to me, that's an orange flag right off the bat is like, okay, they do well working by themselves, but not as well with other people. That is not an immediate quality for a leader. And you really need to second guess that.
And now, with Heather being in HR, that's then another conversation as well of, hey, so we need to create a path for them, like those high performers, but you got to be careful that you're not taking the one that's achieving great rates and doing really good work by themselves and now put them in charge of a team, because you're going to suffer in other ways.
Not to mention the fact that you also don't want to make them feel bad about not being the leader, right? So if you have high performers, recognize them, encourage them where they're at, and allow them to continue to thrive in that environment. You don't automatically need to bump them into a different type of role if that's really not where they belong. So I think the takeaway that I'm learning from this one is that you potentially high performers could be your high 100%. Potentials, but that's not what you're looking for. Don't automatically look at performance as an evaluation of an ability to be a leader. It really is how they work with teams. It's their attitude. It's their behavior. So be cautious, leaders, when you're looking at that succession plan and that list of who those people might be. Don't automatically assume because they do really well working by themselves, like John said, in that environment, that they're automatically going to want to be or are capable of being that next level leader. Yep. Right. Have you had that failure happen, and what have you done to try and rectify it? And I ask because there are leaders probably sitting in here going, I've already over promoted somebody that I shouldn't have. What do I do now?
I mean, it happens to all of us. I mean, even when you think you get it right, you don't always get it right. Yeah. And I think you got to put the work in. And then if you get to a situation, then you gotta, I mean, all this is about trying to put people in their best spot and do their best work and getting people to believe in themselves and then making sure that they're doing their best work. If you do one of those and you're like, hey, we tried it, look at how to exit appropriately and put them in their best spot, right? That's the other thing is if you over promote somebody and you start to realize that, well, if you're having the conversations on a regular basis, and you open that up, get them to tell you that, because then you start diverting and take a different route. Not everybody, like it all doesn't always work out. Trust me.
Yeah. And the thing is that you want to do it quicker. The sooner you do it, the better, right? So if you've realized that they're not the right fit for a leadership role, have that conversation and find the right fit for them in your organization, because the longer you wait to do that, the less likely you're going to be able to revert them into a role where they're going to be successful. Right. The damage is done at that point. So as soon as you see those things, make those quick decisions. Hey, I made a mistake. It's okay as a leader to say that. Hey, I made a mistake. I don't know that this is the best spot for you. You don't seem like you're enjoying this as much. This isn't as successful as you were in your previous role. Let's look at how we move you back into a role where you can be incredibly successful, right? It's not a demotion. It's an opportunity to move forward into another area for them. So I'm going to flip it over a little bit and I'm going to say, so give us an example, you who have done this for many, many, many opportunities, give us an example of a time where someone was overlooked by others, that you saw something in them, and what happened?
Yeah. I mean, that goes back to when I was running my first site, and I went down and I was in Indiana, and there was a group down there. I will say a group, and from what I feel, got overlooked just in general, and came in and started getting a group of people to believe in themselves. But this was Jackie, and she actually was she was going to school at the time, and what she was doing was it was just her part-time job to get her through school. And I started to see how she showed up, how she was willing to dive in, and we started working well together, and the site did. And the cool part about that was she went on to run that site for 7 years after me. And in that standpoint,
so she started out like some part-time admin type
yeah,
role? And you or the team, I know you're really big on making it not about just an individual helping to create high potential, but you guys worked in her and she ended up running the site when you left?
It gets someone to believe in themselves. And she was a great standpoint.
Did she
when I looked at her, I looked at her and said, hey, I'm going to be leaving this site role. So she became the site leader. And I said, I think you can do this. Like I said, I think you can do this. And she said, I have no background whatsoever. Yep. I'm going to school for finance is what she said to me.
Wow.
And
not even
I said, you're really smart and we can teach you everything you need to know. And here's something where I'm sure Heather's going to get there, but I'll just touch this a little bit. It's attitude. It's willing to do what you need to do. Roll up your sleeves. That person, you're not looking for the whole background. Like sometimes that's where we pass over people because they're like, well, they've never done that role before. And we move on. Be good at teaching skill. We can teach skill. We can do that all day long. Like prime example, she went on to then that site was a part-time site. She ended up taking a corporate role as well. And she was doing the planning for 4 or 5 years, production planning. So
for the entire company.
Yeah, for the entire company. And I think that's all just with believing in someone and giving them an opportunity and saying, hey, you know what, Heather, I think you can do this. And I'll be here to help you through it.
So as a leader, kind of a takeaway you'd give them?
You got to believe in people. You got to see what people don't see in themselves. Like if someone asked me, what's the magic sauce of what you do and how you grow people? I believe in people to get them to believe in themselves. Like I tell them,
say that again.
I get people to believe in them. I believe in people to get them to believe in themselves.
I love that.
And here's the thing about that is a lot of the leaders are just like Jackie. I said, hey, I think you can do this. She's like, I've never run a site before. Like I've barely been in the industry. I'm like, but I see you show up. I see how you show up. You care. You're here. I can teach you. We can teach you. And a lot of the leaders that we've grown, I've sat at tables with someone and be like, I can't be in a lead position. I don't have the qualifications. I'm like, I don't have the qualifications either, but I'm doing what I'm doing. And when you want to be a great leader, it's not about what you do for you. It's what you do for others. And when you see somebody that has potential, how they show up, what they do, and the care for others and the care for what they do, start leaving them care. They start to care, you care for them. And all of a sudden, I'm just going to tell you, you got to know when to get out of the way. Because I tell you, every one of the leaders I've grown are going to be better than me. Like I'm an average person that gets to enjoy getting others to say, hey, you got a lot more potential than I ever will. And you got to let that go. And that's where it is. Like,
so I appreciate that, but I'm going to say as a leader who can't find time to actually even take a lunch break, and I know that there are CEOs out there who are thinking the same thing, like, how do I have time to invest in that one person? What would you tell them?
So that's an interesting question, because here's how I'm going to answer that is sometimes investing in someone is just saying, hey, I'm busy right now and I need your help. I don't have time. I don't have time to show you every step.
Okay.
But here's what we need to do. I'm a firm believer, and this isn't, a lot of people are going to tell you different. I'm a firm believer when you give someone an opportunity, you give them the whole role. And if anything, you give them the whole role and you say, here's our SOPs, here's what we need, or I don't have time right now, but here's what I need you to figure out, and give them an opportunity. Now, let's not make sure anyone fails. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. But it's interesting when we allow people to flourish and go instead of hold back. I have some people that are really like, well, we're going to take 1.5 years and then you're going to have the whole role. See, here's the problem with that is you teach people that, oh, it's okay. Now all of a sudden they get to a point. I look at it as when you see some potential in someone, they're hungry, give it to them. So when I look at your situation, Heather, or a CEO situation is, and I know some of the people in your organization, I think you already do this. You're like, hey, so I got a lot on my plate today. I need your help. You know, they can do it. And they'll ask me what you need. And I think, there's always boundaries in your coaching and teaching, but when you see somebody that has the ability, give it to them.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you saying that about my leadership style, because you're right. One of the things that I have learned in my career is bring them along, do it together, ask them for help. Like as a leader, when you ask your team, especially those that are high potential, for help, and they step in, one, they feel recognized for their contributions and that you see the value in them. But two, it actually also gives you a really good opportunity to experience where their problem solving skills are, where they excel, where they might need a little more coaching or help. So I think that's a terrific way to look at it.
Well, and I think go with that coaching and help that you just stated.
Yeah.
So I want everyone to understand that, like, I believe in someone and things aren't all rosy. Like as they become a leader, as we get them to take another role, there are those moments where I'm watching and I go have those conversations. Mm-hmm. You're coaching and teaching so people then learn, right? So once you get them to believe, to say, hey, you believe in me, I'm going to trust you. I can do this because you're going to help me. Give them the boundaries, be there, but then also watch and be like, hey, so yesterday I saw you. And in that moment, coach them, but coach them in a way that they're gonna listen, because then now they're gonna chew more, because now they know you even care how much they grow, right? So I had a conversation this week. I saw something where I said, hey, let's talk about this. This is what we should have done, right? Boom. And already I saw action and it changed. And it's like, that's so cool, right?
But it's coaching, not correcting. So as leaders, we need to remember that, because I know I can jump immediately when I get frustrated or flustered with something that I think should have been done a certain way. But you're absolutely right. And I appreciate that that's the style that you take. And I think leaders need to remember that, is that the difference is, if you correct somebody, they'll be corrected, but they're not going to jump back in and try and support and help in that moment. If you coach, they're going to continue to learn and grow from that, because they feel like they still have your backing behind them. But I want to know, because you've mentioned this already, and I think this is important, and you did the teaser in the very beginning. How do you help those who don't believe in themselves? Or have you always just grown people who believed in themselves?
Not at all.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, I come from an area of, I had so much self-doubt. It was crazy, right? So my whole thing about being a leader and what I do is getting others to believe in what they don't believe they can do. And there have been times I'm like, hey, I think so-and-so can be a lead. We sat down and we've had a conversation, and they're like, I don't even want to come to the interview because I don't believe in myself. And I'm like, okay, so tell me why. Like, I see what you do.
Well, then stop.
Yeah.
That's a big one. So
tell me why you don't believe in yourself. Like, because if I believe in you, and we had some conversations, and I'm like, okay, well, so, but let's give it a try. Like, I'm here. We're here. We believe in you. We see what you do. And giving the reasons of what you do. And, I've had some now where those people are managers, and they're still growing. And
does it turn at some point? Do they start to believe a little bit in themselves, or are you constantly having to push them?
I think it's interesting, because they come in and they're like, oh, and then they're like, well, now, and at some time and point, then you're like, maybe 2 roles in, you're like, and that's where now you got to start coaching even a little more, because now you got to make sure you're coaching and teaching. But I'll just here's something I'll just say to every leader. I'm just going to personally talk to everybody right now.
Okay.
We all are chasing bottom lines. We're chasing to try to move up and do better for ourselves. It's all about investing in people to get them to believe in themselves.
I agree.
It's going to help your organization. It's going to help the bottom line. But my goodness, we're here to help and serve people. And I'm just going to say it.
It's true.
I'm so blessed that God's put me in a situation to be able to do what I do every day and just get people to believe in themselves. And I'll tell you what, it's the greatest thing I get to do, because when I walk away and I see people do things that they never thought they do, or here's the even cooler thing. There's a group of people doing things and I no longer have to be involved because they're like, hey, we don't need you. I'm like, awesome. That's cool. And they're moving ahead of me and doing things that, oh my God, I didn't think of that. It's all about belief. Get people to believe in themselves, give them opportunity. And I'm going to tell you what, I go back to what Heather said earlier. More people are going to succeed. Yeah, you're going to have your cases, but work through those. But yeah. I love this quote. If you've listened to a few of our lives, you've heard it before. Extraordinary people are ordinary people that do extraordinary things. And at the end of the day, that's it. We have people that work for us that are extraordinary. We just got to give them a chance to show us they can.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Thank you, John, for that. I would say, I want you to remember some takeaways for today, right? So potential is demonstrated through behavior, not simple ambition. So pay attention to your team. Like John said, you want to make sure that you're watching them show up, that you're seeing their behavior, their teamwork, their ability to engage and problem solve and step into it. Like, not always because it's their role, but because they want the organization to succeed, which I absolutely think is important. Go ahead.
What I'd say to that is be curious. When I don't know everybody, like, because I'm never going to know everybody. But when I start to see things, ask questions. Go to the supervisor, go to the manager, be like, hey, so I see so-and-so show up wiping the door handle every day during COVID, but with a smile on their face. They're here at 2:00 every day. They're on a routine. That ask the question, be curious. And not only ask the question, be curious, but when you're out walking the site or in the office, stop everything else and observe. Be conscious of what people are doing, because that's how you grow people within. Is you got to see what they're doing. You can't just get caught up in everything else. You got to be present in what people are doing to grow them.
Okay. I think that's great. So I would say, if you were to pick like maybe two things that you really want people, you want to challenge leaders today to go out and do, what would those two things be?
Number one, you can teach skill. You can teach what everybody needs to know. Attitude's hard to know and find. When you see you got great attitudes, people showing up and they're pleasant to be around. You got people that are pleasant to be around, and go invest in that person. Like, don't think it all has to be about, well, they've never been a manager before. Great. Have them learn from you, is one. And I think the other is just understand, when you invest in others and grow others, it doesn't get any better. I mean, my satisfaction, you'll get your own growth because you do that. You don't have to worry about it. But the satisfaction you get by seeing others succeed and do things they didn't think they could is better than anything else that we get to do as leaders.
I appreciate that. And I think the only thing I would add on top of that really is focus. So don't focus on the loudest people in the room or the most visible. Instead, focus on those that are solving problems, that are showing up, that show initiative, that are working as a team, right? So really refocus your attention as a leader when you're looking at what those potential new positions are, or the streamlining of your career paths for your team. Look at that and evaluate them and have the conversations with them and grow them from that direction.
And Heather, I'll add one more thing. I think this is I just thought of this, and this is kind of hidden. When your organization has grown people within, something magical happens. When you're conscious on trying to get people to grow within, everybody's seeing everybody move up. Yeah. They're like, so now people are getting excited. They're like, well, wait a minute. There is an opportunity. So by that nature, people do start to show up a little different in general, because they're like, hey, there's a I can move up through the ranks, right? So there's also, I'm a big promoter on growing within, because you can also create some really great excitement around it, because people are like, hey,
yeah,
here we
more
go,
people.
right?
And you know what? One of the questions I usually get asked when we're recruiting or interviewing people is, what are the career paths? What's the career growth? What's the opportunity for growth inside the organization? And so being able to have those stories to say, yes, we strive to promote from within. We strive to keep the individuals in-house moving forward and growing in the organization. And so I think that also is a win all on its own.
Mm-hmm.
So as we get ready to wrap up today, I just want to leave you with one thought, right? Leadership isn't measured by how many problems you solve yourself. Really, it's measured by how many people you help become capable of solving those problems without you.
100%.
It's about growing, like we just talked about, being that servant leader and growing other people. So when you consistently recognize potential and you invest in the right people and give them the opportunities to grow, just not preparing them to be the next leader, but also watching them succeed in the roles that they have with new challenges. Those are big wins for employees right away, right? So you're building a stronger, more resilient organization and team when you do this. And everyone wins in that, just like John said, because even your new recruits are going to realize that that's important to you as well. So if today's conversation resonated with you, we'd love to continue it. So reach out to John or to myself on LinkedIn. You can visit hmpentacleconsulting.com as well, and we'd be happy to talk through anything that's happening in your organization that we might be able to help you with. Also, before you go, we'd love to hear from you. So if you want a follow-up or anything like that, just DM us. Otherwise, subscribe to our newsletters. We'd love to hear from you and also continue the conversation. And if you found today's conversation valuable at all, please share it, like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, right? Our job is really to help reach other leaders and help them try and build stronger and healthier teams and organizations overall. So thank you for spending part of your day with us. And thank you, John, so much for your wisdom and advice on how to grow potentials. We appreciate you being here with us, and we'll see you on the next LinkedIn Live. Until then, keep looking for your potentials in your organization, keep investing in the people, and keep building leaders. Thanks.